Good evening from Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. This is the Kelly Wright Show. Welcome, one and all. We know that your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending the next hour with us. We've got a great show in store for you today. As you know, we always seek to inform, entertain, and inspire you. On that note, your headlines in just a moment. But first, my opening observations. Did any of you see the voter turnout during Super Tuesday? I mean, wow, the turnout was massive among voters, particularly black voters. People lined up at the polls early and stayed late. They stood in long lines for hours to cast their ballots for the Democratic candidate of their choice. Even though the number of polling places had been cut down in the black and brown communities, it did not deter those communities from coming out to vote. If they thought it would discourage them, the voters stood in determination to exercise their right to vote. To the credit of most polling places, they remained open to accommodate the super long lines. The impact of Super Tuesday is worth observing. It reveals how important and pivotal this presidential election is. Also, Super Tuesday revealed how significant the voting bloc of African Americans really is as they continue to flex their political power. But you know, there's something different about the black voter in 2020. It seems they are reawakening and understanding the full measure of their power and the impact each and every vote can have on the future of America. It's as if black American voters turned up to say, we might be outnumbered, but when we put our full force behind something, we can tip the scale in our favor. Older black Americans still remember the days of facing dogs, fire hoses, lynchings, voter suppression, and intimidation as they struggle to have politicians and the nation meet their demands for equality and full participation in voting. So here we are in 2020. Many African American voters sat on the sidelines in 2016. But this time around, they are not sitting on their apathy, but standing on their proactivity to become a powerful voice for all. Not all blacks will vote Democratic, not all blacks will vote Republican, but all of them who can are determined to vote. They are showing they have an audacity of hope, a tenacity of faith, and the sagacity of love to use their voices to demand politicians and the president to give the people what they want, such as better education, housing, equality, freedom, and the opportunity to the American dream. So the message is quite clear to all the candidates and the president. When it comes to gaining the support of the black voters, stay woke. That's a look at my observation. And now let's recap what happened last night. Former Vice President Joe Biden is a step closer to winning the Democratic presidential nomination in this year's election after strong results yesterday. Important wins in Texas, Massachusetts, and Minnesota have placed Biden in a commanding position. Duncan McKenzie McCarrick has a wrap-up of Super Tuesday.
The stakes were high, and although there were several people on the ballot, in the end it was a two-horse race. But on Super Tuesday, the former vice president won in the vast majority of states.
And make no mistake about it, this campaign will send Donald Trump packing. This campaign is taking off. Join us.
It began with early wins in places like Virginia and North Carolina. Then there were the critical states such as Alabama and Tennessee, where Biden has garnered the African-American vote.
When you're being sold something, you can tell by the pitch, you know, the dips in the tone. You always know when someone has a pitch. He never has a pitch. He's speaking straight from his heart.
He also had major victories in Oklahoma and Minnesota, two states Bernie Sanders had won back in 2016. He finished the night with a tight victory in Texas.
Here in California, Bernie Sanders has claimed the largest state in the country, running on an agenda of Medicare for all, wiping out $2.2 trillion of student debt, and also putting environment as a priority with a Green New Deal. Bernie has got progressives on board here in Los Angeles. He just needs others to jump on board if he's to stay alive in the race.
No matter what happens, if this campaign, and I don't know what will happen, but if it comes out to be a campaign in which we have one candidate who is standing up for the working class and the middle class, we're going to win that election.
You know, he's really taking strong, claims. You know, he has a strong vision, not for him, not for his generation, not for the boomers, not even for necessarily the kids of boomers, but for the grandkids.
The nominee will not be chosen until July at the party's national convention, and if Sanders and Biden continue to go head-to-head, that could mean many more months of a very divided Democratic Party. I'm Duncan McKenzie-McCarg, reporting for The Kelly Wright Show.
Thank you, Duncan. We'll have much more for you after the break. And welcome back. A friend of the Kelly Wright Show, Dr. Benjamin Chavis, joins me now with his assessment of Super Tuesday. Wow. I mean, the turnout was unbelievable. Where do we start?
I think Super Tuesday 2020 will be defined as Super Black Vote Tuesday.
Absolutely.
It was the turnout of the black vote that changed the course of political history in America for 2020.
Now, if I'm a Republican, I'm looking at that turnout. And I'm saying, okay, I could define Joe Biden as having Joe-mentum, because he has the momentum. But I'm looking at the turnout and saying that the Republicans are probably saying, we might be in trouble if the black vote continues to turn out like this.
Well, I think what the Republicans should be looking at is not to take the black vote for granted. And I think the Democrats, even though the Democratic Party has momentum, still don't take the black vote for granted.
What's different this year? Because in 2016, everyone sat on the sidelines and they didn't know what to do. They didn't know who to vote for. This year is different.
Well, you're absolutely right. 2016, the voter turnout was moderate. It was not overwhelming. But I would say these 4 years, from 2016 to 2020, I'd say 2020 is the payback year. A lot of folks are going to vote because they don't have health care. A lot of people, parents are voting because their kids are not getting the best education they should be getting. So there are some grievances in the black community: racial profiling, all these police brutality cases, mass incarceration, disproportionately incarceration, rise of white supremacy, so, racism all over the place. So black folks decided, okay, if this is what you're going to do to us, we're going to show you at the ballot box what our interests are. And it's not only for black people, but also Latinos are coming out also in record numbers.
Absolutely. But
so the black and brown vote, with the browning of America, the demographics have changed in 4 years. America has become more browner in the last 4 years. And our brothers and sisters in the brown and black communities are voting in record numbers all over America.
Voting in record numbers, but they're not necessarily just voting for the Democrat. They're also possibly voting for the Republican, right. And that's Donald Trump. He's making some inroads into those communities.
Exactly. I think the black vote across the board is going to be up unprecedentedly, and I think that this is a good news. And I'm going to go back to millennials, what I saw down in Selma. I think the black youth vote is also going to help rise the quotient of people participating. And I'm also going to predict on your show that even after this election, you're going to see momentum in terms of black political empowerment, black economic development, reversing the gentrification in a lot of our cities. We're coming back. We're not going to be displaced. We're coming back. The power is in the hands of the people.
So that's Black Americans saying, you're not going to get our support if you haven't come to talk to us in our churches and our communities, which he did, but he waited too late to actually get out there. He couldn't get beyond stop and frisk. And then there's Senator Elizabeth Warren, who was able to reach a lot of millennials through social media, but couldn't get to that core constituency of the older black Americans who remember the days of trial and tribulation and just trying to get to a vote.
Absolutely. Well, I believe that the contest is still on.
It is still on.
I think we have the results for Super Tuesday, but I think, I would just caution, I hope no candidate raises the victory flag prematurely.
And they're in danger of doing that.
That's right.
I think Joe Biden is in danger of doing that.
You don't want to just declare that you're the front runner and then rest. This is still an open, contested election. It still may be a contested convention in terms of the number of delegates who will be the presidential candidate. So I would say to all the candidates who remain in the race, take the black vote seriously.
Absolutely.
Take the black press seriously. Take black America seriously.
Absolutely. Dr. Benjamin Chavis, it's always good to have you. I'm reminded of this whole thing, by the way, by the OJs. Remember that song, You Got to Give the People what they want.
That's right.
And they want more jobs, they want more opportunities, and they want more representation in government.
Absolutely.
So
and they're making sure that their demands are felt by the way they vote.
All right. Dr. Benjamin Chavis.
God bless.
All right. Thank you. God bless you, too. Back with more right after the break. We've been talking a lot here on the Kelly Wright Show about the importance of the black and brown vote, which is often overlooked in election years, but not this year. Dr. Wilmer Leon is here now to talk about what's happening. Are we seeing an ideological shift among black voters?
I don't really think that we're seeing an ideological shift. I think what we're seeing amongst the black electorate is people wanting more accountability. We heard for South Carolina that the black vote was the firewall for Joe Biden. Well, that's what can the black vote do for Biden. Now, more people are asking, particularly in the wake of the Obama administration, what do we get for our vote? And we looked at the Obama administration. They rewarded the gay and lesbian community with gay marriage. Mm-hmm. They awarded the Hispanic or the Latino community with immigration support and the DREAM Act. African Americans are saying, what about us?
You know, where did the hope and change affect the lives of black lives?
Exactly. That's the question. And once you get beyond the symbolism of the Obama administration, what we really find out is that the policies were standard fare for an American president, because American presidents are functionaries of the United States government. So we were expecting hope and change, and many people, not all, but many people were disappointed by the lack of significant change.
And where are we now? And then where do we go from here?
Well, where we are now, we're in a couple of different places, because at the leadership level, particularly since we're talking Super Tuesday in the Democratic election, Democratic primaries, we're looking at a class struggle. We're looking at the leadership of the party, the Clintons, the Obamas, the Pelosi's, the Chuck Schumers. They're trying to maintain status quo, and they are operating really at the behest of the Wall Street interests and the moneyed interests that are backing the Democratic Party. So that's the conflict between Bernie Sanders and the Democratic elite. But then when you get down to the voting level, where people are actually asking themselves and intelligently asking themselves, African Americans, what are we going to get for our vote? That's a different conversation.
Well, then let me ask you then, what do black Americans want from a Bernie Sanders, from a Joe Biden, from a Mike Bloomberg, or from a President Donald Trump?
Substantive change, systemic change. Some of the things that the Democratic Party is refusing to commit to. You had Kamala Harris say, I think during the second debate, I'm not for substantive change. Well, when you really look at systemic racism in this country, that requires substantive change.
Indeed it does.
When you look at what's going on with the economy of this country, 2.1% growth, that's not substantive growth when China's growing at 6.8, when India's growing at 6.6, and both of them, and Vietnam is growing at a higher rate than the United States. There are systemic, substantive change issues that need to take place because the problems are systemic. And for too long, Democrats, like Republicans, have been operating on the fringes and have been providing superficial Band-Aid temporary fixes instead of going into and engaging in long-term substantive change. That's what Bernie Sanders is talking about, and we got to get away from he's a socialist. He's not. He's a democratic socialist, and those two things are different. FDR, the New Deal, that was democratic socialism. Dr. King, that was democratic socialism. Paul Robeson, Fannie Lou Hamer, Ella Baker. I don't understand why African Americans have this issue with democratic. So why are you on the wrong side of Dr. King? Why are you on the wrong side of Ella Baker and Fannie Lou Hamer? Why are you on the wrong side of Paul Robeson? I don't understand that. I just don't get it.
So you're going to run for office?
No. Thank you, but no.
I couldn't resist. So the bottom line is you have this wonderful take on what's happening within our community, and I really thank you for bringing it to the Kelly Wright Show because it's a dialogue worth having. It's a great topic of conversation, not just for on this show, but around our kitchen tables, around our dinner tables, just in public and in general.
If I may say quickly, it's my honor, my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation. And people can get my book, Politics, Another Perspective.
Excellent.
And because these are op-eds that are written succinctly so that people can digest these things quickly. And I strongly
suggest. The book again is?
Politics, Another Perspective.
We'll be getting it soon.
Thank you very much.
For those of you who want to, you can go to kellywrightshow.com and we'll give you a link to the book as well. Dr. Wilmer Leon, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more after this. Welcome back. The number of deaths from coronavirus is growing rapidly. More than 90,000 people worldwide have been infected. My friend Li Jing is here now to talk about how coronavirus is impacting her life as well as her business. Li, good of you to join us today on the Kelly Wright Show. You are a good friend indeed, and you have done a lot of successful business between the United States and China. How is that impacting you now, though, the coronavirus?
Hi, Kelly. Great to see you on your show. So since the coronavirus, I think the first time the news broke about January 23rd, it's been almost a month. So for my business, because we do a Star Global Group, we help U.S. and China in marketing investments. So we have been hugely affected. Just a simple fact that the plane, the flight canceled. So a lot of Chinese businessmen and women, they cannot even come to the U.S. That's number one. And number two is that it's just such a scare. People, even including myself, very hesitant to go to the gathering with a lot of people. We're very cautious. And for my friends and family in China, I have never experienced this, that they basically just stay at home and have this extended holidays. Most of my friends, they're CEOs and owners of the companies. It's always very hard to talk to them, but now it makes it so much easier to talk to them because whenever I talk to them, they were at home. But at the same time, they're very worried because they need to pay the rent and salaries of the employees. However, the business kind of on pause. So I would say that it impacts my family. My mom, they live in Beijing. They're all fine, but they told me that they basically just stay home. When they get out of the home, occasionally, they just feel the city is a ghost city. We see almost nobody on the street in Beijing.
So it's almost like they're paralyzed by this. They can't move, they can't function with business. And that has an impact not only on China, but as we've seen around the globe now. You're a businesswoman and a leading one at that, doing some great things with the top 1% of U.S. Business owners as well as China. And you're telling me now how that's impacting you. But the one thing that bothers me as well, Lee, in addition to the business disruption, is the rise of racism towards Asians because of coronavirus. That really is not the right approach to this.
Yeah, I wanted people to understand one thing is that this is a disease that we as humans we are facing. Just like what happened in the UK hundreds of years ago, just like any
Or even
pandemic
Ebola, for
that
that matter, where people were prejudiced towards
yeah,
Africans.
yeah. So like that's why like I feel like this is something started in China or maybe started in China. But we're together. We're a world. People together. So this impacting everybody. And this is something like for me. I feel like we really should handle this from the human level, not just like Chinese or just. I think people should understand this. And also, China is 1.3 billion people, and this is started in a smaller city called Wuhan.
Yeah.
So just because of that, and then affect the Chinese all over the world. Like I know some of the friends, they own restaurants in New York, and they forced to close their restaurants because of this, because people are afraid to go to anything Chinese, even Chinese restaurants, even they're clean. So this really affected a lot of business here, but I think as human, I understand the scare, the
But
fear,
let's be
but we
clear,
also look at
I have to agree with you. It's not right. It's not the right approach. It's a disease, not something we should be blaming a certain group of people for. Lee, I couldn't agree with you more. I can't let you go without you telling me your incredible story of coming to America as an immigrant and achieving not only your American dream, but your universal dream in becoming who you are today. Can you just briefly touch on that? Because it's quite a story.
I grew up in a 10 by 10 room with 4 people in Beijing. And, my dream since I was a little girl was to come to America to study and to see, this is one of the greatest countries in the world. But, I came here about 20 years ago with nothing, no money, no friends, no job, no green card, nothing. But I was very lucky. I had a dream when I first came to New York. I want to live here. I want to became like you, like a TV anchor at one of the best TV stations in U.S. But it was very difficult because I barely spoke English. I never studied journalism. I had no green card, no status, and no friends. So all the obstacles facing me. But 5 years after I came to America as a student, like 22, I was offered a job as a producer at CBS News in New York, and probably the first native Chinese speaker held that role. And after that, I worked for NBC, and now, I have my own company, Star
Yeah.
Global Group, in Manhattan. We're in middle of the Times Square. So I feel, to me, this is something I never thought possible. We're working with some of the biggest names in U.S. and China, the billionaires, and help them to do business deals, marketing, and investment
Wow.
with each other. So I feel if me, just a poor kid from this 10 by 10 room in Beijing, could do this,
Okay.
anything is possible. So this is my American dream, and you inspired me
Thank you,
hugely
Lee.
as well. So I really appreciate this opportunity.
Back with more after this. Welcome back to the Kelly Wright Show, where we seek to inform, entertain, and inspire you. Speaking of inspiration, my next guest is Dr. Ruston Lewis. He's here to talk to us about the importance of philanthropy, giving to people, and how it plays such an important role in the Black community. Ruston, good of you to join us today. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Kelly. It's a pleasure to be here.
Look, this is a very important topic. We're talking about philanthropy.
Absolutely.
And one of the persons that comes to mind right now is Robert Smith, paying off all of those student loans at Morehouse. I mean, that was phenomenal how he did that.
Absolutely.
And everyone was so pleased and overwhelmed with his sense of philanthropy. Talk to me about that.
Well, you know, I think we're so shocked by the amount of money that he donated to change lives.
What was the exact amount?
It was, I want to say,
about $34 million?
It was exactly $34 million, yes.
That's not too shabby.
Yeah, not at all. 400 families were impacted by it, 400 students.
400.
What we don't spend a lot of time thinking about is the ripple effect, because we're so moved by the amount of money he donated and the way that he went about doing it. But when you think about the ripple effect, countless families for generations will be affected now. You know, there's so much data out there that, and one of the things that bothers me is that there's this misconception that people of color, African Americans, don't donate, that we don't give back. The data says, there's a report with the Kellogg Foundation that says, collectively, African Americans gave $11 billion last year.
Wow.
Think about all the lives that we're impacting through our gifts.
Yeah.
And then again, when you just think about Mr. Smith's contribution, it's changing generations.
It is changing generations. I like the fact that you talk about the ripple effect, because it goes deep into all of those families, so that those students who graduated from Morehouse have their debts paid. They can now take that money that would have gone towards paying for that education and apply it to their future and the hope of their future through those countless of generations that will be impacted by them becoming college graduates and going on to become productive citizens and doing great things. But to the point of what you were saying, and I find it remarkable that African Americans gave away $11 billion. Yes. Everybody tries to court us, speaking of Madison Avenue and Wall Street, they try to court us for our spending power.
Yes.
More than $1 trillion in spending power. What about our giving power?
Yes. Well, you know, one thing I think is also notable about Mr. Smith's gift, on average, students are walking out of college with nationally $1.5 trillion in student loan debt. On average, students are paying back roughly $400 a month. So you have a car note before you even walk out of school. I can remember when I was in school, and I'm an HBCU graduate many years ago.
What school?
Clark, Atlanta.
All right.
Yep. I can remember, you know, when you thought about a $400 car note, you were just happy to have, you know, a little bucket, as we used to call them.
Yeah, yeah.
But you're walking away with at least a 5-year car note your first couple days out of school.
Walking away in debt.
Yeah.
Which is not good, not healthy, and you stress about that when you go to your job because you say, I've got college loans to pay.
If you can get a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this whole aspect of philanthropy within the Black community, what incentivizes us and causes us to give? Is it based on our faith? Is it based on having hope for our future generations? Well,
I think it's a combination of things.
Okay.
One is our ability. We know there's an income inequity gap,
Indeed.
a wealth gap. So people give what they can give. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
No problem.
People give what they can give. I think there's a shared understanding of community. I think a lot of what we give is focused on our commitment to our religion. Certainly education in the Black community. Those are probably the 3 most significant funding areas for us.
So are we giving to faith-based initiatives? Are we giving to churches? Are we giving to charter schools? Is it the whole gamut?
I think it is, the data shows it's the entire gamut. Certainly it's what drives your passion. Education, we know, has been the cornerstone of our community. It helps us, creates economic mobility for us. It's a gateway for longer-term success.
And I think what it does, it shows us that we can come together, stand together, and build together.
Absolutely.
Through our philanthropy.
Yes.
Ruston, good of you to join us today and sharing some insights on the philanthropy of African Americans. Keep following that for us.
Thank you, absolutely.
Yeah, and because there's a whole lot of organizations out there that need to have help from people like yourself and from so many other people.
Well, one thing I would like to add is that it's also important not just to pursue support for our nonprofit communities, but also be effective in how we manage those dollars and making sure they're getting to the community. That's one of the things I work very hard on, making sure that we're not only raising money, but we're being effective and efficient in how those dollars are being spent.
And that will take us to the next level.
Absolutely.
Of spreading the wealth around.
Yes.
And creating more.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Ruston, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks
Kelly.
for having
My
me.
pleasure.
Yep, good to have you. Coming back with a whole lot more. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back, everyone. A whole body approach is the key to wellness. Kayla Harley is a certified wellness practitioner, and she joins me now as we stand, because I needed to catch my breath and also get some breath. You can show us some of the natural techniques we can use just to woosah for the day.
Yes.
And now it's in the evening. It's about 6 or after throughout most of the nation, at least on the East Coast. So what should people be doing after they watch us just to catch their breath?
I'm here to share with you a few breathing techniques that anyone can apply, whether they're dressed in a suit like you or whether they're geared up to go to the gym like me.
Okay, and this is called, there's a name for this, gyrokinesis?
Yep, you got it.
Okay, and what is gyrokinesis?
So gyrokinesis is a specialized movement technique that focuses on the spine and your joints. So it's all about mobility and circularity, and we do everything first and foremost with the breath. We don't forget the breath.
Breathing is that important, isn't it? I mean, it's what we do. It's the air we breathe. It's how we live, because we can't function if we hold our breath too long.
Absolutely. And you know, believe it or not, we take the breath for granted, Kelly. We think, oh, you know, I'm here, I'm living, I'm good. But there's so many ways to breathe. You know, let me go ahead and show you the proper way to breathe.
Okay.
So you want to place your hands on your diaphragm. This is your diaphragm.
Okay.
It's a muscle right here just beneath the lungs and encases the belly. So when you inhale, you actually want to expand your diaphragm out like a balloon. And then when you exhale, you want to deflate your balloon and bring everything closer in towards your spine. Let's try that again.
Okay.
So we inhale.
Inhale.
One more time, inhale. Expand wide like a balloon. Grow, grow, grow. And exhale.
That's really good, because I actually feel better now. I feel like I released some stress, and it's also something that I'm a singer, so it also enhances the singing.
Absolutely.
Because you're singing from the diaphragm.
And this is great for public speakers.
Public speaking, yeah.
If you have to give presentation, if you're a teacher, if you're a parent, maybe you might, you know, what happens is, it's also a cultural thing, Kelly. We tend to hold our breath up in this chest region because it's great to look bravado and tough and, you know, like I'm strong and I can handle anything.
But isn't that tension?
It's so much tension there. You're holding everything way up at the top, close to what we call the throat center. This is also a chakra region if you're into energy healing. And so you're actually cutting off full capacity to breathe there.
Wow.
So with that diaphragmatic breathing, you're sending it from the bottom all the way to the top. And it's something called oxidizing the body, where you want to fully encompass the body with breath, because our brain needs oxygen to power through.
You've got me really thinking about it. I'm consciously thinking about how I'm breathing and talking to you at the same time, asking you questions. What are some other breathing techniques aside from the diaphragm? That was very easy.
Okay, so that's the basic. Let's do what we call a sniffing and a ha breath.
Okay.
So your sniff breath is going to be your inhale. So that's and then your exhale is going to be That's it.
Okay.
You can also do a sniff and a ho, H-O. Exactly. So the ha is a little bit more of a sharp, assertive breath that you send out of the body. The ho breath is more like a valve where you can sort of open even to the back of the spine there. Did you feel a difference?
I do feel a difference. As you were saying that, though, I kept thinking about waiting to exhale. But the point is, because I was thinking about that whole movie thing of, you know, exhaling the bad, inhaling the good. Now, so that's what I got just from that breathing. But my mind kind of works that way. Forgive me, y'all. But
so with gyrokinesis, we put the two together. So let's take a Tai Chi stance.
Okay.
And actually, you taught me this morning. So this is called the horse dance, right?
Yes.
Like you're gearing up or you're saddling up, you're riding a horse. So our knees are bent and our knees are right over our toes here. We're going to take our hands and the right hand is going to be over top of the left.
Okay.
And we're going to use the breath to guide and facilitate us to the left and the right. So we'll inhale. And then the exhale pushes us with an H-A. and then send it back with the H-O.
That feels good. So that's like a Tai Chi, right?
Yeah.
Wow, how relaxing that is.
So wonderful. You can do this during your lunch break. You can get up from your desk and do this. You know, we get stuck with the typing. If you're an Uber driver, maybe you're like this all the time. So this releases
I mean,
that.
I just feel so free now.
Good.
Okay, I should do this more often when we're doing this show here. Just stand up and do some Tai Chi and some breathing, and I'll have Kayla Harley to thank for that.
You're welcome.
Wow. Now you have some things over there real quick. I know we got to get out of here soon, but
So
what is this for?
So these are just enhancers.
Okay.
So you would wrap this around both of the knees.
Okay.
Yeah, this will help for more stability in your hips.
Okay.
Because it's creating
and
resistance.
it's not just for women, it's for men as well.
It's for everyone.
For everyone. Okay. And then the last apparatus you have there,
Classic
device?
jump rope.
Classic jump rope.
Classic jump rope. Great opportunity to check in with your breath. And so you would take that and you would double it up, you would triple it up.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
So as you're jumping.
Well, we're not going to jump because that would be a mess. But Kayla, really, thank you for coming in and sharing this with us because we want all of you to be healthy. That's why we want to not only inform people, and this was good information about how we can get healthy, but it was also entertaining, but it's also inspiring. Because that Tai Chi move, it just made me feel so good. And just the deep breath, the diaphragm breathing. You are awesome.
Thank you. That's all.
Gyrokinesis is what it's called.
Gyrokinesis.
Okay. And I like the way you did that. That's sun salutation?
Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
Okay, gratitude.
Gratitude.
All right, well, we want to thank you and show you some love and gratitude on the Kelly Wright Show. She's Kayla Harley, and we're coming back with a lot more after this. Welcome back. I'm so excited about my next guest. Actually, I love all of my guests, but these are two talented jazz R&B singing duo, and you know how much I love music. They perform all around the country and internationally as well. Welcome Key Day members Kia Bennett and Desiree Jordan. Ladies, thanks for being, oh, that almost sounded like Tommy from Steve Harvey's show. Ladies. No, seriously though, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
I'm so delighted to have you. How did you come up with the name Key Day?
Kia Bennett, Desiree Jordan. We just connected our names, Kia and Desiree.
Okay.
Short and sweet.
We'll dispense with nephew Tommy for a moment. Let's talk about the importance of your music because how did you two meet and then decide to collaborate together to be a creative duo and a force of nature musically?
We met on Facebook.
Really?
Yes. But then we eventually met each other at a video shoot in D.C.
Okay. Now,
our friends. Yeah.
Were you modeling or were you singing at the time?
No, we was just...
Well, we've always been singing. But here and there you add in some modeling just to expand your career. But at the video shoot, we were both in the video for artist Yazara St. James.
I'm just going to pivot here and just tell a real quick personal story. When I was covering the war in Iraq for another network, what surprised me is that I kept hearing hip hop. And I kept thinking, where is that coming from? And I thought it was coming from U.S. soldiers. It was coming from the streets of Baghdad, from Iraqi kids carrying around boom boxes, blaring hip hop.
Yes.
That shows you how we've, as African Americans, have influenced the cultures around the world. What do you seek to do with your music as Key Day?
We are here to redefine an atmosphere of love and beauty through music, and we are here to heal people through music.
And our personal motto musically is keep good music alive.
That's powerful. I love that.
Ooh,
that's good.
Yes.
You know, Quincy Jones wrote a song years ago called What Good Is a Song? If a song cannot lift you higher, if a song does not inspire, then it ain't good enough to sing.
All right.
That's right.
And so you're singing music that makes an impact on people.
Absolutely. Of course.
You're singing about love and everything else. So, Kia, how did you get involved in music?
I think I was born into music. My parents met at band camp at Virginia State.
Oh, you had no choice.
Oh, yeah. So, and I've always sang. And I had a girl group, and I also sang background for different artists.
Okay. Desiree?
Well, just like you, grew up singing in a musical family. I would say my influences come directly from my grandmother, who was the minister of music at my home church. So we grew up singing in the youth choir. And
so you did praise and worship.
Oh, absolutely.
And, okay.
Absolutely.
And now, how did you become affiliated with the Grammys, your connection to the Grammy Awards?
I actually am a member of the Washington, D.C. chapter of the Recording Academy, as well as Desiree Jordan. Wendy Cherry, she's the former executive director of the chapter, so that's how we got involved in that.
And we should point out that the Grammy Cares program is all about getting instruments into our schools and helping our youth appreciate this wonderful music that we have. But what's really cool about having you ladies on is the fact that what you're promoting, because jazz and R&B, it's indigenous to America, and it's more specifically indigenous to the creativity from African Americans who have contributed so greatly to music that's heard around the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we are a part of RAMP, Roy Ayers Music Production.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are the new members.
Everybody loves the sunshine.
Exactly.
Come on, y'all. My life, my life,
Okay.
my life,
Yeah.
my life in the sunshine.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are part of that. That's a 70s soul funk jazz.
We're going to come back with more because we want to hear your music and also my final word. So don't go anywhere because folks get brown in the sunshine. My life, my life, my life, my life in the sunshine. Coming right back with more after this. Welcome back, and now for my final word before we close with our guests and their song. You know, at the top of the show, I talked about the power of the African-American vote, and indeed, we've seen that evidence. There's something happening this year, 2020. It seems that we're all coming together holy, holy, as Marvin Gaye used to sing about in his great album, What's Going On. This is something he stated. Holy, holy, we need to come together holy, holy. People, we all have got to come together. Lord, we all have got to come together. We have to understand that we have something we believe in. It's God, which represents our faith. It's our people, which represents our hope for a future. And it's coming together as Americans where we can represent and embody the American dream. Hopefully in today's program, as in every program, you've been righted, ignited, and united to keep spreading some love, freedom, and peace. And we'll end now with first thanking Key Day for being here. And we close now by showing your love. And what's the name of the song again?
Give Your Love to Me.
Give Your Love to Me. We'll end it there. Thanks for joining us on the Kelly Wright Show. Peace out.
It all begins, even though we started out as friends. We went on and learned to trust, from our very first kiss to our very first touch. Who would have thought that this could ever be?